So what's up guys, it's Tuesday Friday with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY, and today we're here with another episode of the Tuesday Friday series with FIXITGEARWARE. It's been 1 week since we posted our last video on Tuesday Friday due to certain events we have been engaged in. Honestly, we have a lot of things going on and it's been taking a lot of our time. And also we know that for the C programming course, we have exceeded the time frame by 30 days. And please bear with us. Like we said, our interest is not all about making money, but also making sure that whatever we put out there in terms of paid content, that the users will be able to get their money's worth. Okay. So sooner than later, this will be ready. And as we're working with limited resources, while we're still having other events we're engaged in. So this is going to take some time. And of course, it's the complete course. Okay. So it's not like we're selecting some parts of C programming to teach you. We're teaching you the entire course, and still the editing, the formatting, all this is taking a lot of time from us. So please bear with us while we're still tweaking the course to our own satisfaction, of course, which means that at the end of the day, when you, the people who are interested in this course, are able to purchase this program or course content, you'll be able to understand it in a very digest manner. That being said, sooner than later, this course will be made available, and once it's available, we'll be notifying you, the public. So please bear with us, give us some time to put this in order the way we want to do it in a perfect way. And yes, once it's done, definitely it's going to be worth your money's commitment. So on today's series, we're going to make the video short. It's just a short video. And this video is going to be based on cross-site scripting using an automation tool. We'll be showing you how you can install this tool on your Kali Linux machine. We're not going to do some GitHub clone or repository clone like you used to do, especially when it comes to installing tools. And you know the challenges that comes with installing tools on VirtualBox machines. So after we have been able to tweak the golang on VirtualBox machines, we can now easily move tools that are written in Go in the Go bin directory, and of course use these tools to our own convenience without the need of doing the Go latest and all the procedures that requires you to install the Go tool on your VirtualBox machine. So with that being said, let's get started with today's episode. So on today's episode, we'll be talking about Dalfox XSS automation tool. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what Dalfox is all about. It provides the functionality for automating cross-site scripting. And the payload also comprises of payload scripts or codes that are able to bypass WAF. We know that WAF can be implemented through CDNs, of course, which makes it difficult for you to be able to, exploit these targets with various command injections such as cross-site scripting, right? So with custom WAF payloads, you can be able to use Dalfox XSS automation tool to test for vulnerable endpoints or components which are exploitable via cross-site scripting. So for you to be able to use this tool, which we are going to be demonstrating today, you are required to install Golang on your Kali Linux machine. So if you do not know how to install Golang on your Kali Linux machine via VirtualBox, click wherever in this video the description is. I think towards the end of this video, we demonstrated in details how you can install Golang on your Kali Linux machine, which is also running on VirtualBox appliance, and of course how you can also update your Golang with easy steps. So once you're done with those steps, you can now export any Go tool that is written with Go programming language and use them easily. Like it's widely known, right? Almost all the tools right now in hacking are all written in Go because Go is a lightweight programming language that makes it easy for you to write codes or build tools in cybersecurity. So to download Dalfox, you have to visit the GitHub link in this presentation, and of course, follow the documentation on the steps on how to install the Dalfox tool. But today we'll be walking you through the easy steps. So do not worry, we'll show you how we do these things, and of course, how we now use these tools with our own custom scripts, which we have built by sourcing payloads out there in the wild and also creating some using AI as well. So with that being said, let's demonstrate today's tools by firing up our Kali Linux machine. So we have to log in to our Kali Linux box. Now the next thing we want to do is we go to the official website, which is of course the GitHub repository we just demonstrated. Now, when you visit a GitHub repository, you always look out for this information, a language, okay? So if the language specifies Go, then if you have followed our steps on how to install Go on your Kali Linux machine or Kali Linux OS running on VirtualBox, then you do not need to worry about how to get these tools. It's very easy, okay? As a matter of fact, I would advise you to watch that video and get Go running. Most of the tools you need out there will be written in Go, and of course, you can now use them. So for this right now, you can see here we have the latest, right? Ignore this repository, okay? Do not clone any repository or use any Go latest. You do not need any of those commands, okay? So you just come here, you click on latest. Now, once you click on latest, you come down here and look for the assets, okay? So assets are basically Go binary files that have been built by the developers or some random users who fork these repositories, right? And of course, they uploaded them. So now if you go down here, like we previously described in our previous videos, always look out for Linux or Linux AMD64, or look out for the file that matches your distro, okay? So for us, we're using Linux, so we can either use Linux or AMD64. So for us, we prefer using the AMD64, okay? We're not using the ARM. So we click on this. Now the zip file will be downloaded in our downloads directory. So what do we do next is that we cd to our downloads directory. Now we're there, you can ls. Now we have the Dalfox, right? And of course, you can see it's a tar.gz file. So to untar this file, we just say tar -x vzf. And like the normal thing to do, you just copy this, okay? You paste clipboard and you hit enter, and that is done. Now, if we ls right now, we should see Dalfox, okay? Now, previously in our videos, we stated that all Go binary files are in Go bin directory. So each time you try to run any Go tool, the golang will go into this binary directory, which is in the Go path, right? And pick the name of the tool and run it with the Go language, okay? So now what we need to do is that we need to move this tool, okay, into that Go bin directory. So how do we do this? We say sudo, we use the command mv, then we specify the tool, we say Dalfox. Then of course our Go is now root, so we say roots, then we say Go, then we say /bin. Now if we hit enter, we'll be required to enter our password, and we hit enter, and that is done. Now if we ls again right now, you can see that Dalfox is no more there. So let's remove the file we just downloaded. Sorry about it. We paste clipboard and we hit enter. So we have removed that. Now for ls, it's no more there, right? Now, to be sure that the tool has been successfully installed, we can now say Dalfox -h, and we should see the help instruction. So now you can see we have the Dalfox. Now there's a command I want to show you, okay? I wouldn't be going in depth in all these commands, but go through it. I would explain a few to you, okay? So for instance, if you are scanning the target or a list of target with a custom cookie, right? So you have to specify this flag -C, right? And specify the cookie. So all these instructions are clearly explained on the documentation, which is of course found on the GitHub repository, right? So go through it, but I'll be demonstrating a few examples using a custom payload that I got out there, researching from other experts as well who have built proof of concept payload for XSS, okay? So here you can see for WAF evasion. So I wouldn't be using any of the payloads that comes with this tool. But in our subsequent video, when we'll be dealing with other targets or real life targets, we'll be, showing you a few of these parameters and how you can use them, in bypassing WAFs. So for today, we will not be using any of this except a simple or basic commands provided by Dalfox, okay? Because we already have a text file that contains strings of WAF XSS payload, okay? So what we mean by that is these payloads are able to bypass WAFs, okay? So we do not need to go in deep with that, with this. So the next thing I want to do is I go back to documentation, okay? I just want to copy something. Let's go back to the documentation. So I'll be using this command, okay? Let me just show you so you can know what you're doing. So I have my custom payload. So I'll be using this one, okay? Good. So I'll show you something. I'll put this here, okay? So when you want to use Dalfox for batch file URLs, you have to specify file, then the path of the URL, okay? Then you put this command -- custom payload, then the path to your payload, okay? So for easy use, usually what I usually do is this. Let's say, let me minimize this, okay? So let me say my payload is in my desktop, right? Sorry, let me just minimize this like this so it's very easy for you to understand, okay? I can run a bunch of commands, but I just want to explain things to you so you can learn how to navigate things easily. So this is an atlisan Jira automation script that I have pulled from a real life bug bounty target. So I will be automating XSS payload with this target to see if we can find a POC for an XSS. Now, one thing I want to also explain to you is that when you're scanning for XSS, if you see things like this with POC beneath it, it means there is a possibility for you to exploit the target with an XSS payload, especially if you're hitting an endpoint whereby you're not logged in, right? So this concept will not be verified. That's what Dalfox will show you. So it's not verified, but there is possibility. And of course, the proof of concept will be displayed to you. But if you see something like this V, okay, when scanning, it means that endpoint is vulnerable. So if you're automating and you see a proof of concept after this V enclosed in a square bracket, that means that endpoint with that payload that is jointly fixed, okay, can be exploited with that proof of concept generated. So all you just need to do is just to copy that line of code, run it in the browser and see if it's going to be executed. So if it's executed, then you can definitely have that as a proof of concept to report to the bug bounty program or the owner of the domain. In this case, if it's not listed on a bug bounty platform, right, which you're trying to pen test or hack. Now, one more thing I also want to explain to you is that if you see I here, it means it's informative, okay? There is no exploit possible is just information, which of course Dalfox will also indicate this. So I want to automate this, right? And I have my payloads. This is my payloads. And I want to use this one. I'll show you. I want to use this SSS text, okay? So I'll show you something. Not everything you need to run a command. You need to learn how to make your steps, very fast. It's very important. So what do? I just say Dalfox. Okay. Then I'll say file. Oh, sorry about that. First, I have to cd to my desktop. Okay. So I can say Dalfox. It's a file. And I'll say atlisan.txt. Then I said -- custom -payload. Now I just come here. Where's my proof of concept? I want to use this payload, right? I'll just come in and drag this here. Now, all I just need to do is to come down here and just remove this. So guys, I'll be blurring out the automation to hide this target because it's a bug bounty program that I'm working on. So I wouldn't want you to see the target domain, but you will see some results, okay? Before I pause the recon, which is the automation recon. So what do I do next? I just hit enter and you can see that Fox is running its stuff. And as you can see here, we have the GF patterns, right? Now it's running. So in this list, I have over 525 endpoints, okay? So you can see the URL here, right? So I'll be blurring it out for you not to see the target itself. And you can see here, this is I, which we just demonstrated, right? Which is, of course, is information. So it's going to test the whole endpoints to find which of it is vulnerable to XSS. So once we have one single W, I would pause this. I wouldn't go further, but I just want to show you how it works, okay? So currently it's mining for DOM. And of course, you can see it tells us GF patterns have been included. And you can see the target here, right? Now, one thing I want to share with you, which a lot of bug bounty hunters might not expose or share with you, is that this is a trick, okay? Let's say you're using Bobsealed or any other automation tool to crawl a website, okay? Once you crawl that website, copy the whole domain that was crawled on that website, especially if the website that is being crawled is a domain that is in scope, not out of scope, okay? First, ensure that the domain you're crawling is in scope, not out of scope. Then once you have found those domains that has been crawled on that target website, export everything into a text file, because once those domains have been crawled, definitely they are valid, right? And you should be hitting something like 200 OK. Okay, focus on the domains that are hitting 200 OK, means once you hit those endpoints, they are live and they're like real entry points that can be exploited or targeted to see if they can be exploited, right? So once you export it into a text file, it means automatically the GF patterns have been included in that domain, okay? So you don't have anything to worry about. The next thing you have to do is find a good GitHub repository that has an updated an updated XSS payload that is capable of bypassing WAF, okay? Once you've gotten that payload, just use the Dalfox tool and run it with that payload you have gotten and see what's going to happen. If you're fortunate enough, you would, one, uncover an XSS vulnerability. Two, you also be the first to report that if you are the first person to, hunt that program as soon as the domain was reported. So this is the trick I just want to share with you. It's not a guarantee that you find a vulnerability, okay? Because most times these organizations are aware of these vulnerabilities, and of course they harden their domains, right? So you might end up not getting any vulnerability pertinent to XSS. But if you're lucky enough and you follow this concept I just shared with you, especially if you're hunting a private program, there's high chances that you will find a vulnerability that is pertinent to XSS. And of course, exploit this vulnerability to your own advantage. So we'll wait for a while. I just want to get a few reports. Then once I get those reports, I'll show you and I will pause the video and we'll end this week's series. Okay. So while you wait, please be patient. As you can see, it's trying to inject some parameters, right? To see if we're going to get some XSS payload. Now, once you see this, there's high chances that you should be getting a vulnerable endpoint or a warning, which is the W, right? So the warning signifies that there's possibility to inject an XSS script in that particular endpoint or entry point that is, displayed in your terminal. Now you can see this is a W, right? Means it's a warning. There's possibility, and you can see the proof of concept using the get request, right? Okay, so if we copy this right now, let's just copy this link, and we'll just say copy selection. Okay, you can see it's injecting. So there's possibility that we can get an XSS in this domain link. That's why we're seeing W. Okay, but once it's confirmed that we can actually inject an XSS script in the target entry point or link, you will be seeing V, means it's confirmed, it's 100% sure of the findings. Okay, so I'll show you an example. Should I or should I not? Okay, I wouldn't go to the domain because you will definitely understand where the target we are trying to hack. Okay, so I'll ignore that. But as you can see here, we have the W. Okay, and you can see the proof of concept. And if you see the patterns here, you can see they are all encoded, right? So these encoded parameters are able to bypass the WAF settings. Okay, if we did not encode these parameters, we just inject the scripts, you would be getting informations like, it's blocked or it will just freeze, right? So that is how you use Dalfox. Okay, why am I sharing this with you is most especially for those who are just getting into bug bounty. Okay, you wouldn't definitely find your vulnerability in the first 3 to 4 months. That's the truth. Okay, no matter how good you are, because there are a lot of smart people more than you who are always targeting this various programs. And of course, they are always way ahead of you because they have been in the system in terms of hunting for bugs for quite a long time. So they know what to do. And of course, they also know how to, hunt for programs or patterns, which they can, of course, get vulnerabilities. So you that is just new into the program or into the system of hunting for bugs, you might not be lucky, or you might not even use a smart or faster method to uncover these vulnerabilities, except you are involved in a private program, which you rarely get when you're just hunting for the first time, right? So that's the reason why I'm sharing this concept with you. Okay, once you're good with using Bob Suit in crawling a website or any other tool how to use to crawl a website, export the domains you found with the tool that is crawling this website, put it in a text file, get a very reliable source where you can find POCs for XSS that are able to bypass WAF settings, which are implemented on a CDN or any other means of WAF security used by the organizations. So once you are able to get those payloads, copy them into a text file, just use the basic command of Dalfox, and of course, run the scripts. And do not forget, ensure that the domains which you're trying to, scan for XSS to determine if they are vulnerable also have the GF patterns implemented, okay? So those GF patterns are very important. The script can run effectively and, of course, inject the payloads in the right order, okay? If not, if you don't do that, you might be having errors, being thrown back at you by Dalfox too, okay? What else? Hacking is not difficult. Like I said, you have to understand the fundamentals, okay? Do not rush. Do not rush. A lot of people are making money and they have been in the game for like 5-6 years and they're starting to win in their recent times because they were consistent. So do not be swayed by their winnings and think bug bounty is something you can start today and start making money the next minute. It is not possible and it's not feasible. But if you humble yourself enough, do the work by studying, it's okay. You can take 6 months, but be effective with learning, documenting every steps, so that by the time you're done and you get into hunting, all you're now doing is improving what you have learned in terms of the technical skills and not being confused on what to do. So if you, for example, have known the basics or fundamentals of finding SQL injection, right? So if you try and hunt a program with possible parameters where you can inject SQL injections and you cannot find any possible SQL injection occurrence in that domain, right? You can now say, okay, let you dig further on how you can exploit that endpoint to get an SQL injection, right? And that will be easy for you because you have also learned the basics. You understand how to inject those parameters, where to inject them, what is the response you have to see to determine if this domain or target is vulnerable to SQL injection. Okay, so with that, we are going to stop this. And sorry, I would have to blur this target as well because it's actually is a private bug bounty program, which I was fortunate enough to get into, but I wasn't lucky to, get into the program early because I was busy with other things. Like I said, we have a lot of things being busy with. So I was opportune to look into the program and I'm still trying to find a very good vulnerability, which of course I would then report. So I decided to use this as a demonstration for you to show you how to hunt. Okay. Once again, don't be swayed by how others, perform this magic of acting like an expert hacker, injecting code, doing all this good magic. I call it good magic because they are actually good, okay? I'm not trying to, play or downplay their skills, okay? They are very good. But the thing is that they do it for fun because they've already made a lot of money hunting for programs. You that is just getting into the hunting phase, you do not have any business to do with aesthetics, okay? Like showing the skills that you can run certain commands or, become technical. Don't do that. Just learn how to be fast because you're not the only one hunting for this. There are millions out there hunting for these programs. So you want to be the first, okay? And to be the first, you have to find shorter ways or shorter means on how to do things easy and quicker without the need of wasting time to, report. So I hope this helps. And if there's anything you are confused about, please just drop a comment on our X channel, and I would take my time to reply you. Anyone of the admins who can be able to reply you would take the initiative to, respond to your questions or your queries. And don't give up, okay? Today you might not be getting bugs, but someday you'll be among those guys who will be, celebrating that they found a bug, and they were able to get some, payment, okay? And that's it, okay? Just keep learning, and from time to time, once you have built that foundation, you can now be able to ask questions, okay? That's the methodology. Do not, I keep saying this over and over again, do not be in a hurry to make money, especially when it comes to bug bounty. If you're in a hurry to make money, you'll be making crumbs. I'll tell you the truth. You don't want to be hunting for bugs for over a year and you just made $700. I'm just saying, okay? Because you're not good and you've lost sight of a lot of bugs. You were supposed to make thousands of dollars, hunting for these bugs. So bend your head down, keep learning. It doesn't matter. Your first year, your second year might not even be good. Trust me. But once they start getting better, you start having clarity on how to find those endpoints. And not just clarity on how to find those endpoints, on how to also build proof of concepts or payload without the need of depending on others out there to build your own payloads or proof of concepts. Okay? So with that, we have come to an end of this week's episode of Tools Friday with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. If you find this video interesting, please do not hesitate to give us a like by hitting that thumbs up button, subscribe by hitting that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to get notified when next we post another episode on Tools Friday with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Bye for now.